Welcome to Pinnacle Performance Company's Fishbowl Friday with Pinnacle co-founder and COO G. Riley Mills and master instructor and editorial director Brad Lawrence.
Fishbowl Fridays, it's time. I'm Brad, this is Gary. We're with Pinnacle Performance Company. What is this about, Gary? What are we doing?
We've got a fishbowl here. It is Friday, and we're going to draw one question as we do every Friday. We'll read it. We'll give you some tools, some tips, some insights, and then off you go to enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Do you mind? Can I?
Let's go.
All right.
See what we got this week.
All right, I'm going to... what's this one? Okay, get it. The anticipation is building. You've talked about gestures. Can you talk some about the voice?
Okay.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Yeah, so the voice. What they're talking about is vocal dynamics, which is what we call it in our training. The different elements of how to use your voice to influence other people. In our training, we break it down very simply into 4 different elements. Let's go through those 4, and then we'll talk about them individually. And as we do, feel free to use this as an opportunity to do some self-analysis with your own voice.
Definitely.
Do I get the most bang out of my voice with all 4 elements? Or, most likely, is there one that you don't really think about that you could probably leverage a bit more?
For sure. And I also think it's important to note that obviously voice and body are inextricably linked.
Correct.
So if you're having challenges with one, you can oftentimes adjust the other and it will ripple in effect.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about I hate my voice?
We did an episode on
People,
that.
I know, but the people, if they didn't see that episode.
We could talk a little bit about it. Sure.
Yeah. You can change your voice.
Your voice is fine.
Yeah, your voice is fine. You can make some alterations to your voice to make it richer. We're going to talk about that. But your voice is the voice you were born with, but you can make some adjustments to change things. We'll talk about those. Go ahead. Yeah. What's the first element you think we should talk about?
I think the big one for most people is probably pitch. Pitch/inflection. Essentially the music of your voice, literally the highs and the lows, where if you were to chart your voice on a musical staff, where do those notes fall?
Yeah.
And why is that important?
Yeah, so think of it. If you were listening to a song and it was all one note, it's very boring. So monotone. If you ever have the complaint that somebody says your voice is a little monotone, or that speaker, I don't like to go listen to her presentations because her voice is so monotone, it just means there's not a lot of pitch. There's not a variation in there. And so you want to bring in some variation to your voice. It's easier to listen to, and it's just more melodic.
Yeah, more texture in the soundscape. It's more interesting to listen to.
Yeah, so pitch, very important. Here's one that I think is very important. Articulation.
Oh.
Crisp, clear. Can we understand everything you're saying? Are your consonants and your vowels, is everything articulated clearly? Or do you have kind of mushy articulation? You want to be careful of that.
It's especially about those consonants. And it's especially nowadays because of virtual environments where you've got microphones and it's going to the internet, it's coming out speakers, like all of that distorts sound.
Yeah.
So the crisper your consonants, the more intelligible you are. Or if you're communicating with people who are speaking or listening in a different language, who speak a different first language, consonants are how we hear words oftentimes. So if they're not crisp, it can really start to muddy how you sound.
Yeah, do you have any favorite tongue twisters that people can use to get those articulators working?
Ooh,
I know acting
red
school,
leather, yellow leather.
Yeah, red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. That's a good one. Bada-gada, 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 bada-gada. Those are fun to just keep those on. What were some other good ones? We used to have so many good ones.
We did, I know.
Back in the day,
I'm stumped to come up with them now. You put me on the spot.
I slit a sheet I slit. Upon a slitted sheet I sit.
That's a great one.
No swearing. If you swear, you got to throw money in
That's a great one,
in the fishbowl. Good. What's another vocal dynamic that people should think about to improve their voice?
How about pace?
Pace.
Because I think it goes with articulation.
Yeah.
Those two are tied together.
Absolutely.
Definitely. For you, why is pace important?
Yeah, so pace, just like monotone, is if your whole presentation is all going at the same pace, it gets a little monotonous. I might zone out. I might be less interested.
Yeah.
When we're coaching somebody for a presentation or a speech, one of the things we do is find where can you speed up to bring some energy, to bring some excitement. If you're ever doing a list, those are tough. You want to build the list with your pace and your pitch. You want to build it so it's not just a laundry list. But yeah, so building excitement with pace, and then if there are really important points you want to drive home, slowing down and letting that point land.
Yeah.
That can also be really effective to use your pace.
Finding variety is important, like you said. I think it's also punctuation. It's oftentimes about punctuation.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at processing ideas, but when every thought just runs into the next one, there's no periods, everything's a comma instead. That's when it's really tough to parse things out. So it's not necessarily, it can be, but it's not necessarily about the rate of your speech. It's about, are there breaks in between thoughts?
Yeah. And pauses we'll get into in another episode, but pausing, very, very powerful to let a thought sit out there, hang out there, let the audience think about it before you move on. And then the last element, volume.
Yeah.
Volume.
Projection.
Yes. And as actors, both Brad and I have training as professional actors. One of the first things you learn when you're studying theater is play to the back row, not the front row with your volume. Because the person in the back row, they bought a ticket too. You got to reach them with your voice. You can't just reach the front. So if you're ever doing a presentation or a speech, what you want to do is get into the space ahead of time, have somebody go sit in the back row, and then speak, whether you're using a microphone or not. Can they hear you? They're going to give you, nope, I can't hear you. Got to bring it up. Adjust your volume there so you know, so when you come up to do the actual presentation or speech, you know what volume you should be at. Anything else on volume?
Yeah, I think the thing to remember that I think a lot of people feel like let me backtrack. I think the thing to remember with volume is that it's very difficult to be too loud. It really, really is. You'd have to go
almost
so
never
loud.
happens.
It never happens. So for anybody out there who's concerned with that, it's better to be a little too loud than too quiet, for sure. So I would always turn that volume knob up a few more clicks than you think.
Yeah, and it sounds louder to you than it does to your audience because it's resonating in the bones of your skull. You can always, to Brad's point, go a little bit louder, and believe me, somebody will tell you if it's too loud. I don't think I've ever seen it in 20 years of doing this work. No. Someone says you're too loud.
Yeah.
Good. Vocal dynamics, how you can use your voice for more impact. There's 4 elements. How are you doing with all 4? Which one can you sharpen up just a little bit more? That is your Fishbowl Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time.
If you'd like to submit a question for the Fishbowl, drop us an email at fishbowl@pinper.com. If you'd like to learn more about Pinnacle Performance Company, email us at info@pinper.com. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and tell your friends. See you next week.